Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the race review from Bristol Motor Speedway. Don't do many of these anymore, kind of just doing the ones I go to in person. So without further ado, we'll get this one going here. Got there Thursday night and was able to go to the truck race where it was kind of a Ross Chastain and Brett Moffitt battle. Grant Enfinger got some pit strategy up there to get up front, but the two best trucks all night were pretty clearly Brett Moffitt and Ross Chastain, who I think have been the best two all year, and I think those are the two that'll race for the title, mainly at Homestead. There will be other trucks, obviously, there in the running, but I think those will be the main two that are up front. So, anyway, got to see that. It was awesome. I don't know what happened to Chastain. He had a pit penalty or something and had to start at the back and kind of worked his way forward and ended up second. But he did have to run a few people over getting up there, so by no means is it, was it the nicest driving he's ever done. Like, people that were mad at him for how hard he drove, they had a point. I mean, he did pretty much run over 2 or 3 different people. So those drivers had a reason to be mad, so I don't blame them there. But good race, a lot of fun. I ended up picking up some of these rubber chunks when they were letting us on the track after the race. They had a track walk. So I'm going to put this with the diecast when I have one, either have one made or if Lionel decides to make one. But they're bigger than I thought, and so I figured I'd kind of put them along the base or wherever in the display case, which is kind of cool. So, but then Friday we had the Xfinity race. I ended up getting to catch Landon Castle on an appearance. I do have this in the other video, the haul or whatever, so this is just a little extra, but I did get this car signed while I was there, which is kind of fun. So that's my last Landon Castle car. I decided not to just keep one of his because I didn't have a ton of shelf space, and I really don't want to have 1,000 diecasts. I don't want to have a big collection. I want to have a special collection, so this is the one that I really like the best, and definitely, that's a cool signature. If they ever make a Starcom car, though, I'm getting that. So, but then race was good. The Xfinity race, I don't know what happened to poor Justin Allgaier, but he lost a tire or something towards the end of the race after looking like he had that thing won. And Reddick ended up winning, which is so-so. I'm not a huge Reddick guy, but he's a good driver and he can really wheel a car. But a little bum for Allgaier because I thought he really did everything he needed to do to win that race. So. But I will be getting a Tyler Reddick car made, so that'll be kind of fun. And then got some pictures and stuff. I'll have videos of all that on YouTube. I'll have a bunch of little clips. I don't know if I'll combine them into one big video or if I'll just kind of separate them out. So then on Saturday we had a bunch of appearances we got to go to. We went to this one here, which was the Truex and Newman one, and I kind of I showed all these off earlier, but I was able to get his Sherry Strong car signed and all that. Long line. It was surprising how many people were in there, so they limited it to 1 item per person, and being my sister was there, she could have hold one of the other cars of mine. She didn't want to bring any of hers this time. She has a lot less than me, so her Truex Chicago win, which is the one we went to, she already has that signed, so because I have all of his wins, I've got more that are unsigned, so I brought them down. And then obviously Ryan Newman's Daytona 500 win. She doesn't have any Newman cars because he's not won in a long time, especially up in our neck of the woods. But yeah, we'll get into that on the race review about Newman. But overall, that was a cool appearance. Then we went to the Chevy stage and we were able to get Bubba Wallace's autograph. My Sharpie kind of had a problem halfway in there, and it's a half, but it is what it is. They're never all going to be perfect, so. I was glad I was able to get a legitimate signature, but unfortunately a lot of it faded because the Sharpie was just dying. So that'll be the last time I use that silver Sharpie. I'll probably have to get a new one. But the other one was Chase Elliott was there, and this one worked well. He had his own gold marker in it. I mean, it looks great. He actually picked this car up to sign it instead of, most of the time they just kind of do this. They stand there and try to sign it while it's hovering. And he actually picked it up and, got a good look in. So I'm really happy with it. It looks really good, and I don't care how good it looks. It was cool to get the one race I got to see him win signed in person versus, an autograph edition or something like that. So really happy that I got this one signed. This is probably my favorite the favorite car I got signed, even though Truex ones are cool and the Newman one's cool, but this is probably my top one. So, yeah, if you've never been to a Chase display, boy, that's really something. Basically, if you're standing there and Bubba Wallace walks by, you can hold your stuff out and he'll sign some stuff, and then the next guy does it, and it's kind of crowded and people are kind of reaching over your shoulder. It's normal. But then Chase Elliott comes through and people just lose all sense of common sense. Holy cow! He was running. He was coming through, and on the way in, they were fairly calm and collected. There was still a lot of kind of pushing, and I had to kind of hold and anchor myself in a little bit with all the shoving. And I turned my shoulder a little bit. There was a little kid behind me. He was probably only 5 or 6, and I knew he had a Chase Elliott hat, and I told him that I'd be standing in front of him there, and when Chase came by, I was going to turn my shoulder and open up, and he could scooch on in there. And I don't know if he ended up getting anything signed because of the crowd, but I did get him up to the front. So that was, I hope he got something signed, but it was nice to talk to a lot of the fans there. They were all pretty calm up front because we had all been standing there for the whole Chevy appearance. But then, once Chase Elliott came in, boy, that was nuts. So they did the questions and answers, and then on his way out, I was just standing there because I had already gotten my car signed. I didn't have a whole bunch of stuff or anything, but the way out, once he kind of started making his way towards the exit, people went crazy. I mean, I was getting shoved around, and they were pushing and pulling and grabbing collars and throwing. I mean, it was nuts. I had one person that was full-blown, barreling through people and screaming and hollering, and then got a picture with Chase, and she couldn't even speak right, which is, neat that someone got to meet their hero, but at the same time, get your crap together. He's a human being just like the rest of us. And, he drives a race car, and he does a damn good job of it, but there's no reason to go barreling over people, and he's a normal human just like the rest of us. You don't gotta don't act like you've never seen a person before. So that was a little ridiculous, the way that, and his golf cart took off and people were full blown chasing it at full speed. So that's really something else. The other drivers were pretty laid back with the amount of the fans and how crazy they got. But boy, if you've never been to a Chase appearance, you're going to your first one in the next few weeks, be careful because people go nuts. Anyway, on to the race. I'm going to go ahead and pull this car into there because I don't have his Toyota one yet. It hasn't come out, but I got this one. But Matt DiBenedetto, I was watching the start of the race, and Chase had some decent runs, and those are the two cars I was keeping an eye on for the most part. I was always checking to see Busch and Johnson that were fighting to hopefully knock a lap down in the first run, but I was watching to see where DiBenedetto and Chase were running. And I was watching them both. DiBenedetto had about a 5th to 7th place car about all night, for the most of the night at least. He just kind of ran there, didn't make mistakes, and just kind of ran his race. Didn't push to try and get anyone out of the way, just kind of took his time and hung the car in there. And on a final restart, he got inside Eric Jones and raced him good, and when he got up alongside him, Jones overdrove the corner and hit the wall and had to pit. And then he went out and was leading, and man, before he took the lead, when he was just looking low and was running alongside for the lead, we were jumping in the stands. We were all really excited to see him go get that. And after he got to the lead and Chase was in second, I thought, wow, this is great. And so they were running 1-2, and then Chase was starting to get into a battle. So all I wanted at that point, even as a Chase fan, I'm definitely a DiBenedetto fan as well, but all I wanted once they caught Chase was him to hold him up as long as possible. So DiBenedetto had a chance, and I wanted the race to go green. And it went green, and DiBenedetto was doing a great job. Chase got past and ended up finishing 5th. But DiBenedetto, his car hung in there, and he just kept driving his lap and driving his race and caught lap traffic, and he'd deal with them. He wasn't pushing super hard or knocking people out of the way. He was just driving his race. And then with about 12 to go, or maybe a little more, I think it was around 20 to go, this car, or the car driven by this guy, ended up squeezing DiBenedetto really hard. I don't think it looked too bad on TV. I was sitting in turn 4 at the exit on the front stretch there, and I got to see it right in front of me, and it looked a lot worse. I thought he actually got him into the fence and pinned him in there, and I was mad. I normally am not one to scream and shout and cuss at a race, but I was mad when Newman about wrecked him. DiBenedetto, basically, if I use Truex's car here, DiBenedetto was coming around the high side and was about up to here on him, up to here, and Newman squeezed him and about here by the time they got to the mid part of the straightaway and squeezed him like this, and DiBenedetto had to check up and probably lost about 7/10 of a second to a second throughout that whole exchange. and then had a hole in the nose up here, right up here in the side that caused his car to get real tight. And I could tell something was wrong because he suddenly was having a lot more trouble as far as keeping away from Hamlin. Because basically, Hamlin got to second, and DiBenedetto would pass the car, and Hamlin would be 5 car lengths back. And then Hamlin would finally get by that lap car, and he was 10 car lengths. And by the time DiBenedetto passed the next lap car, it was back down to 5. So they really, yes, Hamlin was faster, but it was not enough that he would have caught him and passed him as easily as he did. I don't think he may have caught him, but I don't think he would have been able to pass him because DiBenedetto's car was very good before that contact. And it was still good afterwards, but his lap times definitely dropped by at least a tenth or two, and that's a lot at Bristol to drop. So, unfortunately, a little bit of boneheaded racing on a lap car kind of cost him. And I'm not going to sit here and say Newman is the worst driver in the world because he races that way. I'm glad that you race hard for the lead lap, and I'm good with it. But I'm going to draw the line always at contact. The minute you start bumping and banging into the leader, I'm not okay with that because that can ruin a guy's night. This one is obviously very minor compared to dumping someone. I would have no respect for any driver that dumps someone just to stay on the lead lap because literally that's like saying you drove to the lead, and because you're so much faster than me, I'm going to dump you so I can stay on the lead lap. That's just an absolute I would have no respect for that. I can't even say it without cussing at him. But I don't think that's what Newman did. I think he was just running hard, and he was trying to run the bottom, and then I don't think his spotter told him that DiBenedetto was up there, and so he squeezed him. But again, at the end of the day, lap cars are not supposed to pull over and just stop for the leader. But at the same time, if the leader is there, my number one thing is do not run into the leader. If the leader is there, below you, above you, wherever, do not run into him. Up with that, you can do the air block, you can take his lane away, you can drive the high line, because the high lane was kind of the priority. That's all fine. I'm good with all that. If like what happened to Chase at Dover, look, Newman ran the low line, so Chase should have moved up. If he was having that much trouble, he should have moved up, and I think he knows that now. But at the end of the day, what happened with the contact is where I had my problem with it. I do not want to see the leader get damaged because a lap car is fighting so hard to stay on the lead lap. Even if it's accidental, I understand that, but you're professional, keeping control of your car. Again, it'd be really a shame if the next 3 races at the next race at Darlington that somebody wants to stay on the lead lap late in the race and they're racing so hard they lose control of the car and crash the leader. Because at the end of the day, a lap car shouldn't be the one that ends the leader's night because they should be racing hard, but not to the point of wrecking. And I don't think Newman did it on purpose, so I'm not going to be all anti-Newman. I just think, it's a bummer that the spot that he lost a little control and ended up getting into him poked a hole and cost him some time and probably the race. So, again, I'm not anti-Newman. I know there's a lot of people that are all, Newman races people too hard. I understand racing hard, and on a short track it's tough because you're going to have more closer calls. But at the end of the day, if you're a lap down and they say leader's high, you need to give him a lane. And that's my only thing about it was that DiBenedetto earned that top lane and deserved to have the space to pass him. Because if Newman was clear and he had slid up and almost basically chopped the nose in terms of been clear, then I'm fine with it. But the fact that he wasn't clear and decided to try and chop him anyway, that was my only problem. But Newman should still race the same way he does now. I'm good with that because, again, racing hard to stay on the lead lap is great. But just as long as he's not wrecking the leader or bumping into him or, side banging him or cutting tires or anything, that would be my only line. So, race was great. Unfortunately, when Hamlin won, there was a lot of people that were a little disappointed. I was one of them. I was so heartbroken for DiBenedetto. I was so thrilled to see him running so well. I really wanted him to win that race. And then, again, once I saw the contact, I was pretty much just mad after that at Newman. Because even after Hamlin won, I was not mad at Hamlin at all. Hamlin just drove a race and drove a great race at that. So no problem with Hamlin. I still like Hamlin. I'd say he's middle of the pack. If you ever saw my tier maker, he's middle. Not one of my favorites. I'm not going to root for him, but I'm not going to boo him or anything. I'm not a big anti-guy like that. But, it was a great race. Hamlin has a really beat-up car, so it should be a fun custom to have made if they don't offer it. And that'll be a good diecast to have in my collection. But Unfortunately, it was bittersweet on that point, because even Denny Hamlin it was a bittersweet win, because he knew who he had to take it away from. But obviously, with DiBenedetto getting kind of the boot from Levine, it's a bummer, because I really wanted to see him win and really put it out there. But I think the performance alone put it out there, and a lot of people know that. So unfortunately, Levine's catching a lot of flack for it. But at the end of the day, Levine's he's a guy. He's got his own worries, and when his business is struggling and he's got an option that can help improve his business, even if it is hurting a driver, he's got to do it. It's not his fault. It's NASCAR's fault that the teams can't make money by winning. They have to do it by only sponsor. Because the fact is, if DiBenedetto is running 5th, 4th, 2nd in all these places with the equipment he's got, he should be he should be fine. But because they've kind of basically said, "No, you don't make money if you win. You only make money by sponsors." That's kind of the problem. They should be getting, the purse should be enough to build the car and keep it running, and it's not, and that's the problem. It should always be that way. So anyway, long review, but definitely one that I was really excited for. If you've never been to Bristol, 100% best track I've ever seen in person. It's a stadium. It's fantastic. The atmosphere is great, so absolutely recommend it. Check out my videos. I'll have a bunch of them coming up, just restarts and different little clips throughout the race. I'm probably only going to limit the ones that are about a minute or more. I'm not going to, 20 seconds of cars going by or anything, but check those out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Put the notification bell on if you want to see all those different videos and angles from what I was able to see at Bristol Motor Speedway. Traffic was great. The shuttles in and out were fantastic. So Bristol, #1 track in the nation, in my opinion. And until somebody else proves it otherwise, I think that's going to be where it stands. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments if you were at Bristol and how your weekend went and how much you enjoyed the race. And let me know your thoughts on the Newman lap down controversy. So that'll wrap it up. And we'll see you all in the next diecast review.